everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today we are going to take a peek at my Yugo M48. For those of you that don't know, the Yugo M48 was the last commercially produced military Mauser. This is it. This is the end of an era. Yugoslavia would produce this gun from 1950 till I believe 1964 is when they finished their production run for the military guns. I know that they continued to produce like a sporterized version for hunters and export, but this is it. This is the last one, last series. There would have been a few variations as time went on. This one being specifically, you can see there just below the crest on the receiver, M48. You will also see an M48A marking, which will also include the M48B and the M48BO. The differences being once they realized that there was a bit of time and extra cost in terms of machining all these parts. So you can see the trigger guard here is machined, the magazine floor plate is machined, these retaining parts are all machined. They started to go towards the production of stamped parts to save time and money. So that's when you get that M40A variant, and then the B as well. The BO was specifically designed for export, and it wouldn't have this crest here on the top. It'd just be blank. I did bring out my Russian capture K98 just to compare it. So the German K98 with the Yugo, because there are some differences, and some people sometimes will get confused. They see this Yugo and they think it's K98. Though it's close, it's not identical. So you'll see right off the bat that the stocks look pretty much the same. The length looks pretty much the same. Make sure this rear here is lined up with that one. Now, if you look down here on the front end, though, you're going to see that the K98 is a bit longer, and it has just a slightly longer barrel. So the Yugo, I mean, it's nice, right? Because it is a little bit shorter, so might come in handy if you're doing vehicle-based or armor-based fighting. You know, it's like about an inch or so off the overall length. Accuracy changes would most likely be negligible, especially when you're thinking of combat accuracy. Also, you'll see that they deleted this ring here with this hole. This is just an integral tool inside the butt to help assist with taking apart the bolt. Be able to depress the firing pin into this to press the spring and take the bolt apart for cleaning and maintenance. They opted not to include that. It might be difficult to see, but the action on the Yugo is just a little bit shorter than the one on the K98. So this here is a little bit shorter than the K98. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can take my word for it. And then you have a full upper hand guard on your Yugo that surrounds the rear sight, whereas on the K98 it stops just before the rear sight. Other than that, well, nope, take it back. I just looked. On the K98 as well as the M48, you have your bent down bolt handles. The Germans scalloped out this section on the stock in order to make clearance, in order to get this bolt, get your fingers up under here, or if you got gloves on, to be able to lift the bolt. Whereas on the Yugo, it's hard to tell. You could see that the K98 on the right has a lot more dramatic bend, whereas the Yugo has less of that dramatic downward bend. And you can also see that they ground off or milled off the bottom here of the bolt handle, whereas the Germans retained it but opted to scallop out the stock. So those are your main differences. The sling on the K98 is going to be your standard German style K98 sling, whereas the Yugo sling is a little bit different. So K98's got true K98 sling. It's got the buckle here, whereas the Yugo sling just has different holes here in order to make adjustment, and then it has the standard retainer, I guess, keeper. I'm not sure what you'd want to call that. Same as the Mauser or the German design, same style there. So I am not going to be comparing these in terms of shooting, because I am shooting some Yugo 8mm, and I believe this stuff to be corrosive, so I don't want to get my K98 dirty and my Yugo M48 dirty. So today, shooting wise, we're just going to shoot the M48. I just brought the K98 out just to show the differences between the two, and then I have specifically Yugoslavian bayonet that is for the M48. Also cool on this one, the M48, not the M48A, was only manufactured for 3 years, 1950, 51, and 52. And this one is all parts matching, so all the serial numbers and everything match on this gun, which is pretty cool. So I will stop talking your ear off and we'll get on out to the range and go plink at some steel. All right, gonna go for the 100-yard here. Feed. So this Yugo ammunition is apparently loaded a little hot, and I can feel that it's kind of hot. The brass, it's kind of wanting to stick in there. Like right there. Normally that should just pop right up, right? I got to really get in here and it's not wanting to extract. So makes me wonder if it's just a little on the hot end. So the other thing that I'm wondering too is this gun, when I got it, still had cosmoline all inside the action. I mean, the outside had been cleaned up, but clearly there was still cosmoline on the inside. And it makes me wonder how much this actually was fired previously to come in and being imported in the United States. So it could be a couple things. Hot ammunition means the brass is expanding kind of violently and sticking a little bit, and this isn't broken in. So I'm not digging the fact that it's not extracting the brass every time. Like the other videos I've shot down here, this is 100 to the first plate and then 200 yards to that second plate down there. So there's another, it's just wanting to stick. And there's no obvious signs of serious overpressure or anything. I mean, that primer looks good. So I don't know, it could just be the gun's not broken in. So I don't have a lot of rounds to it, and it probably didn't have a lot of rounds to it when it came here. So gun's clear. I'm gonna pop the bayonet on there. This bayonet, I am willing to bet my next paycheck is unissued. Look at the bluing on that. There's no wear at all other than just being taken out of the scabbard a couple of times. There we go. So last time I threw a bayonet on a rifle, it was my Turk Mauser, that early Turk Mauser, and if you remember seeing that, the bayonet flew off. I touched on the idea or the fact that some of this stuff, as it gets military service and used over and over again, stuff wears out. Things don't fit like they used to when they were brand new. This is pretty much brand new. This gun is, I'm pretty certain, close to being unissued or unfired, and that bayonet, I guarantee you, is unissued. So everything locks up nicely and should not come flying off when we shoot it. There you go, look at that. Now it's issued. Seeing a little service life. Getting dirty. I'm gonna have to clean it because this ammo is corrosive. Get it back and give it a good wipe down, throw a bunch of Ballistol on it. That extractor issue is annoying. I still think it's the ammo and not the gun. It could be, again, like I was saying, the gun's pretty unfired, but I really think it's the ammo. But unfortunately, I didn't bring any other ammo out to test that with. And this is the only ammo I've fired in this. Like I said, I don't really have too many rounds through this previously. So, but there it is. That standard K98 style bayonet. Gotta love it. Nothing like the last shot to actually make impact with your target. Not great. Left side of plate. Not sure where that was. Sounded like a solid impact. Well, that's going to conclude the shooting for today. I hope you enjoyed watching the Yugo Mauser M48 run through its paces. This one, obviously, we were having some hangups with the extraction. Not as, I mean, if I'm going to dog on this gun, I'm going to say it's not a German K98, right? I think that there was, especially like the earlier stuff, the earlier war production are pretty high-end guns in terms of military production bolt action rifle. This I can just feel, it just has a bit of a grind to it. It's just not as smooth. I think, again, part of it is probably a little bit more crude on the production and the machining, but then also this gun just, I really don't know if this thing was fired much at all in Yugoslavia. I think it just sat in a tub of Cosmoline bathing until it came to the US. I mean, it's still, I've cleaned this gun really well, and it's still like the wood is just, the Cosmoline's just seeping out of it for this range session. Like I said before, I really have no rounds through this. This is the first major range session I've done with it, like a lot of rounds in a short period of time getting fired, and those failure to extract. I think it's probably the ammo, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to test with different 8mm ammunition and see if I can find one maybe that it likes, because it sure doesn't seem to like the Yugo stuff. And again, looking at the gun, inspecting it, everything looks good mechanically, so that's why I think it's the ammo, not particularly the firearm. Other than that, you get one of these quite a bit cheaper than you're going to get a German K98. So if you're in the market for wanting to get a bolt gun, a Mauser, this is a good option. Like I said too, it's also the last production run of a Mauser for any nation's military. So it's kind of cool to have the tail end Charlie when it comes to the Mauser collection. And then, you know, if you're serious about collecting them, you got to have one, right? Other than that, fun to shoot. I encourage you to get one if you want one. If not, still get one because they're fun. Maybe you'll have a little bit better extraction issues than I am. So again, I always find something to complain about these older guns, but then I always try to sell you on it even though I'm not selling them. So hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one.